Hey, that was an interesting preseason game. The Fever are now undefeated. They are undefeated, lads. And for everybody who is new, we're trying to hit 45.5K by this time next week, which is
perfect. But the Indiana Fever did finish the WNBA preseason undefeated. Not that record matters in the preseason or the exhibition, but
the Indiana Fever just ran through the entire day preseason like a freight train. Undefeated, untouched, and leading the charge? Yeah, Caitlin Clark, who's casually draining threes from the logo like it's just another free throw. I mean, some of these shots look illegal with how deep they are. But it wasn't just splash plays and scoreboards. This game had everything. A last-minute injury scare that almost kept Clark off the court, an unexpected technical foul, and a late-game takeover by someone nobody saw coming. Oh, and Brittney Griner? Yeah, she had a front-row seat to the madness, and even she had to show love at the end. So here's the deal. If you've got the fever, and I mean real fever, drop it in the comments right now and type, "I've got the fever," because this team just put the entire WNBA on notice. Let's rewind just a bit and break this down, because this wasn't a fluke. The Indiana Fever didn't just win one preseason game and call it a day. Nah, they went 3-0, sweeping everyone in front of them. First, they handled the Washington Mystics. Then they embarrassed Brazil's national team like it was a scrimmage. And just when people thought they might finally get tested, boom, they take down the Atlanta Dream 81-76. Now I know some folks out there are thinking, okay, but it's just preseason. And you're right, technically. But here's what actually matters. The Fever aren't just winning games, they're building an identity. You can already see the trust, the chemistry, and the depth in this roster. These wins show us how fast this team is gelling, and that's the kind of momentum that doesn't show up in box scores, but it wins seasons. And let's be real, going undefeated in any setting, that's not easy, especially when you've got rookies, veterans, and new lineups trying to figure things out. But Indiana? They already look like a squad that's on the same page, and the rest of the league better start paying attention. But just when everything seemed to be going smoothly, boom, a wave of panic hit Fever fans like a ton of bricks. Less than 24 hours before tip-off against the Atlanta Dream, the news broke. Caitlin Clark had collided with a male practice player during a team workout. Reports said she tweaked the same leg she had previously strained. No one had clear details, just whispers, Twitter threads, and a blurry sideline photo with her holding an ice pack. And let me tell you, the internet lost it. Fever fans were glued to their phones, refreshing every 5 seconds. Instagram, stories, Twitter spaces, Reddit threads, people were asking, is Clark out? Is she hurt again? What does this mean for the regular season? One fan even posted a screenshot of the practice footage freeze-framed mid-collision like it was the Zapruder film. And honestly, can you blame them? The preseason finale was supposed to be the last test run before the real show starts, and Clark is the engine, the spark, the entire heartbeat of this team's offense. Without her, you're looking at an entirely different picture. Then, just hours before game time, came the update that flipped the mood completely. Caitlin Clark was not only active, she was starting. The team cleared her after evaluations, and just like that, the injury scare became a footnote instead of a headline. She even gave a quick pre-game quote saying, "Honestly, I feel really good. Just had to be smart with it. We've got a long season ahead." Now look, a lot of rookies would have sat out, and no one would have blamed her. But Clark? She wanted in. That's the kind of competitor she is. She could have played it safe. Instead, she suited up, took the floor, and made it clear, if she's breathing, she's playing. That kind of mental toughness, that's what separates good players from franchise cornerstones. So let's talk about what happened once Caitlin Clark actually stepped on the floor. Because if you thought that injury scare was going to slow her down, think again. From the opening tip, it was like she had something to prove. And maybe she did. She wasn't just back. She was cooking. Within minutes, Clark hit a deep three from well behind the arc. And I'm not talking NBA range, I'm talking borderline mid-court logo range. The kind of shot that makes defenders shake their heads before the ball even hits the net. She pulls. Up, releases, cash. The crowd gasped. Atlanta's defense froze. It was vintage Clark, but with a pro-level edge. And here's the crazy part. She made it look easy. Sports Illustrated's Robin Lundberg even posted, "I think Caitlin Clark may have increased her range. She's shooting the deep ones like they're nothing." Let that sink in. She's already famous for shooting from ridiculous spots, and somehow she's stretching it even further in the W in just 23 minutes on the floor. Clark dropped. 0.7 assists, 6 rebounds, and these weren't empty stats. Every bucket had impact. Every pass had vision. She ran the offense with the calm of a veteran and the fire of someone who's been doubted her entire career. One play that stood out: Clark dribbles up, 2 defenders step out, and instead of forcing it, she whips a one-handed pass to Boston. Cutting inside, easy layup. That's what separates her. She's not just a shooter, she's a floor general. She's reading the game like it's already happened. Oh, and let's not forget that transition sequence where she grabbed the board, pushed the pace, and threw a no-look dime to Hull on the wing, who buried the 3 like they'd been running that play together for years. This wasn't just a promising rookie debut. This was Caitlin Clark announcing her arrival. And make no mistake, the league was watching. So was every coach trying to figure out how you stop her, because if she's already doing this now, what's she going to look like by midseason? Now, Caitlin Clark might have started the show, but she didn't finish it. That spotlight in the 4th quarter, it belonged to Lexi Hull. Let's set the scene. It's a tight game. The Fever are clinging to a slim lead. Atlanta's pushing hard. The crowd's loud. Caitlin's on the bench getting a breather. And just when it looked like Indiana might run out of gas, Lexi Hull exploded. She came off the bench like a heat-seeking missile. 11 of her 14 points came in that final quarter, and they weren't garbage time buckets either. These were pressure cooker possessions, the kind where every shot could flip the momentum. First, she cuts backdoor and lays it in through, contact, and one. Next play, she steps into a mid-range jumper like it's a free throw. Then, the big one. She splits 2 defenders off the dribble and finishes clean at the rim. Ice, in, her, veins. But it wasn't just the scoring. Hull was everywhere. Deflections, rebounds, diving for loose balls. She played with that mix of hustle and confidence that screams, "You will not take this game from us." Here's the thing. This didn't come out of nowhere. Lexi Hull's been grinding for this moment. Last season, she quietly became one of the most reliable two-way players on the roster. During the final stretch, she led the entire league in three-point percentage. Coach Stephanie White said it herself after the game. When you accept your role like Lexi does, you can't let it put you in a box. Her confidence, her decision-making, it's next level now, and it shows. Hull's been sharpening her game behind the scenes, especially in that unrivaled 3-on-3 league during the offseason. It's helped her build quicker reads, stronger defense, and elite one-on-one instincts. That training, it translated directly into this game. Even better, Hull credited the Fever's practice environment for her rise. She said, "Confidence comes from reps, and our practices, they're game-like. Everyone's competing hard, every day." That kind of culture, it's exactly what Indiana's been missing for years. By the time the final buzzer sounded, Hull had gone from solid bench piece to 4th quarter closer. She changed the entire rhythm of the game. She saved the perfect preseason. And now, she's forcing Coach White to rethink the rotation heading into opening night. Mark it down. Lexi Hull isn't just part of the team. She might be the X factor Indiana needs when things get tight in the regular season. Now, if you thought it was all highlight reels and high fives, hold up, because things got real in the 2nd quarter. Caitlin Clark showed us another side of her game, and it wasn't her shooting. It was that fire, that edge, the competitive rage that separates good players from killers. Here's what happened. Clark drives, gets bumped, no, whistle. Then she tries to thread a bounce pass to Boston in the post, but Atlanta jumps the lane, grabs it, and turns it into an easy, fast layup. And boom, Clark snaps. She grabs the ball, fires it into the stanchion under the basket. Not in a malicious way, but it was clear. She was pissed. And just like that, technical foul. Her first as a pro. Now, was it a meltdown? No, but it was a message. Clark doesn't want moral victories. She wants calls, she wants wins, and she wants respect. That's who she's always been. But the real story? What happened after the whistle? Enter Sophie Cunningham. Sophie didn't yell. She didn't show her own frustration. She walked right up to Clark, pulled her aside, and said, in body language, not words, "Breathe, we need you." And that moment right there, that was veteran leadership in action. Cunningham knew how quickly a tech can spiral into something bigger, especially for a rookie star under a microscope. She played big sister, team captain, emotional thermostat, all at once. But then the game flipped again. Midway through the third, Sophie goes up for a rebound and lands awkwardly on Ryan Howard's foot. She instantly hobbles off, clearly favoring her right ankle. The broadcast zooms in, and yeah, the look on her face says it all. Pain, frustration. A few minutes later, she's seen in a walking boot. And while that might sound dramatic, it's standard protocol. The team later listed her as doubtful to return, but post-game, Coach Stephanie White offered some hope. She was already in the cold tub. She keeps saying, "I'll be fine," so I trust her. Still, it was a gut check, because in just one half, Indiana's most emotional leader had gone from steadying the team to maybe being sidelined for the season opener. And if you're a Fever fan, this moment hit hard. You don't just lose a shooter or a defender, you lose your vocal spark plug, the one who brings intensity, energy, attitude. Clark even said after the game, Sophie's energy, it's different. You feed off it, the crowd feeds off it, it's real. So yeah, she might just be day-to-day, but let's not kid ourselves. The Fever need her at full strength. When the real games start, this whole sequence, the tech, the leadership, the injury, it showed us more than just basketball. It showed us this team is growing, fast. Clark's learning to control her fire. Sophie's setting the emotional tone, and even in adversity, they've got each other's backs. After a game that had it all, deep threes, technical fouls, late game, heroics, even injury scares, what happened after the final buzzer might have been just as meaningful. Because in the middle of all the intensity, one moment stood out. Caitlin Clark, fresh off a game where she played through pain, dropped 13 points and got her first taste of WNBA-level physicality, walked straight over to Brittney Griner. And what happened next? Nothing flashy, no media stunt, just two elite athletes sharing a quiet, genuine moment of respect. They hugged, spoke briefly, smiled, and that's all it took for the internet to take notice. One fan captured the clip and posted, "Say what you want, but that's real. Respect from Clark and BG, love to see it." Another wrote, "This league's in good hands. Veterans and rookies showing love after battling it out." Now, Griner didn't play a major role in this game. She was coming off limited minutes, but her presence still loomed large. And for Clark, who's been under the biggest spotlight since stepping on a WNBA court, this moment was a reminder that the competition may be fierce, but the culture, it's built on something deeper: respect, resilience, brotherhood, or in this case, sisterhood. Because at the end of the day, this league is full of women who've battled for opportunity, visibility, and the right to be taken seriously. Moments like this, a star rookie and a battle-tested vet connecting, they're more than just sportsmanship. They're symbolic. They say, we compete like warriors, but we lift each other like family. And honestly, that's one of the best parts of the WNBA. So here's the million-dollar question. What does an undefeated preseason really mean? Is it just a good start? A fluke? A hype train with no breaks? Not exactly. What we saw over these 3 games wasn't just about winning. It was about foundation. And this Fever team is laying concrete fast. Let's start with the obvious. Chemistry. The connection between Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and now Lexi Hull. It's way ahead of schedule. Clark's passing isn't just flashy, it's intentional. Her timing with cutters, her spacing awareness, the way she directs the tempo like a point guard who's been in this league for years, that's rare. You don't just plug a rookie into a pro system and get this kind of fluidity, unless that rookie's different. And then there's the depth. Lexi Hull just showed she can be a fourth quarter closer. Mitchell can drop 20 on any night. Aaliyah Boston looks even stronger than last season. Grace Berger and Temi Fagbenley came off the bench and gave real minutes. This isn't a team built around one player. This is a squad with layers. Coach Stephanie White talked about that after the game, saying, "We're starting to build layers into our attack offensively and our coverages defensively. It's not perfect, but it's progress." That's the key word, progress. The Fever don't need to be a championship team right now. What they do need is to show growth, consistency, and the ability to respond to adversity. And so far, check, check, and check. Look at the boxes they've already ticked. Clark handles an injury scare and still shows out. Hull evolves into a legitimate bench weapon. The team survives a close game under pressure. They rally emotionally after Cunningham's injury. They've faced turbulence and responded with maturity. They've had flash, but backed it up with grit. And the best part? There's still so much room to grow. Clark's still adjusting to the speed of the pro game. Boston's still refining her offensive moves. The turnovers are still too high, especially in the first half of games. But that's what preseason is for. As Coach White said, we want to see different combinations, different lineups, and we want to see application of things we've worked on in practice. And we saw exactly that. This wasn't just a lucky 3-game streak. It was proof of concept. A glimpse of a Fever team that's not just better, they're ready to compete. Not in a few years. Now. All right, the preseason is in the books. The Fever are 3-0, but now, it gets real. Indiana opens their regular season at home on May 17th against the Chicago Sky, and it's not just any game, this one's on ABC. National spotlight, prime time, all eyes on Caitlin Clark. Again, but here's what makes this matchup interesting. The Sky know exactly what they're walking into, and you better believe they've been studying film all week. Clark's step backs, her off-ball cuts, how she handles pressure up top, it's all getting dissected by Chicago's defensive staff. Expect the Sky to come out aggressive. They're going to trap high on pick and rolls, face guard her off. The ball. Deny her touches early. That's what every team is going to start doing. But this is the first real test to see how she handles it over 4 quarters. And that's where the Fever's depth becomes crucial. If Chicago goes all in on stopping Clark, who steps up? Boston in the paint? Mitchell with quick drives? Hull off the bench again? This is where we find out if Indiana's all-weapons-ready mentality holds up when the lights are brightest. Now let's address the other big question heading into the opener. Is Sophie Cunningham going to play? Last we heard, she was in a walking boot after that awkward landing in the Atlanta game. Coach White said she was in the cold tub and telling everyone, "I'll be fine." That's a good sign. But a walking boot a week out? That's no guarantee. Even if she suits up, her minutes might be limited. And look, Sophie's not just another rotation player, she's an energy source. She gets under the opponent's skin, she feeds off the crowd, and she's that emotional stabilizer for this squad. If she's out or limited, the Fever are going to need someone else, maybe Lexi, maybe Grace Berger, to bring that vocal edge. Bottom line, this opener is going to be a chess match. Indiana's got the tools, the talent, and the momentum. But the Sky are coming in hungry, and with a full game plan designed to shut down the hype. This is the moment where we see if the Fever's preseason dominance translates when the lights go up and the pressure's real. Mark it down. May 17th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Fever versus Sky. Caitlin Clark's official WNBA debut. And if that game's even half as intense as the preseason finale, we're in for something special. So let's recap what just went down. Caitlin Clark shook off an injury scare and delivered a performance that screamed superstar. Lexi Hull? She stepped out of the shadows and took over like she's been waiting for this moment her whole life. The Fever went 3-0 in the preseason. But more importantly, they showed us who they really are. Tough, deep, competitive, and maybe, just maybe, a team ready to shock the league. This isn't just about winning exhibition games. This is about a new culture in Indiana. One built on grit, talent, and belief. The kind of team that doesn't just want to play hard. They want to own the moment. Now the real test begins. May 17th. Chicago Sky, national TV, all eyes on Indiana. Can they keep this momentum rolling when the wins actually count? Can Clark rise above the target already on her back? Will Hull keep up this fourth quarter firepower? And will Cunningham be ready to bring that spark off the bench? So now I want to hear from you, Fever fans, NBA fans, or just hoop heads in general. Do you believe this Indiana squad can make a real playoff run this year? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've got the Fever, you know what to do. Type it loud. I've got the Fever. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're riding with us all season long, and turn on the bell so you don't miss a single breakdown, highlight, or meltdown, because we're covering everything WNBA right here. And if you're still feeling the hype, click the video on the screen right now for more deep dives on Caitlin Clark, the Fever's rebuild, and what's coming next in the league. Let's run it up. We'll see you in the next one.